Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Alright, we have some good stuff today. I should warn you that there will be, first of all, it's going to be a bit of a shorter podcast, but I figured I'd get one in because next week I will be away. So, this is going to be my last podcast until probably, wait 1 second. On July 3rd, I should be back. But next week I will be off, so... Alright, let's kick things off. So the Warriors traded for CP3 and also drafted what's the guy's name? The guard from Santa Clara. I can't really think of it right now, but it seems they went the opposite of where the league's going. The league's always going to be getting younger, and they got CP3, who is older, and they're also getting smaller, and I feel like the league is getting bigger. Like, when you look at the best 5 players in the league, Giannis is a big guy, Embiid's a big guy, Jokic is a big guy. I don't know who else. I mean, there's Doncic, but he is not. But anyway, I'd say the top 3 players in the league right now are all big guys. And the best teams in the league are mostly made up. They're like bigger teams. Like Denver had size. Phoenix had size this year. Boston has size. I just don't see the strategy here. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with picking maturity over speed, but I mean, I don't think it's going to really do much for them. And Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul. He's not going to... Nothing's going to really change that. But I'm not saying he won't contribute, but I don't see how it's going to make them a championship team. All right, speaking of moves, the Celtics acquired Kristaps Porzingis, getting them size, although I'm not sure this makes them a championship team either. I know that sounds weird, but the Warriors actually have what they lack, which is a facilitator. You have to be a well-rounded team, I think, to win a championship. But the trend in the league is most of the top teams have top-tier centers. Or top-tier big men. So, I mean, I think Porzingis does make them better than they were last year, but in order for them to be a championship team, I think they have to get a facilitator. I think that's what can complete. And I think Jason Tatum has to be... He has to step into more of a leadership role now that Marcus Smart is gone. Because he has the talent. He does not... talent's definitely not his problem. He has to, I think, perform a little bit better in the playoffs, but I do think the Celtics will be slightly better next year than they were this year. But, like I said, I don't see the Warriors or Celtics making the championship next year. All right, well, here's a team that definitely won't make the championship, let alone the playoffs. So the Blazers, so Damian Lillard said he won't rush his decision after they drafted Scoot Henderson, a guard, by the way. So this is another problem. They also have a problem with size as well. 3 of their best players are all centers, guards. They're all guards. The 3 best players: Scoot Henderson, Damian Lillard, and Anthony Simons. And the West is getting better next year. I think the Warriors will be slightly better, not a championship team. The Suns are getting better, even better than they were this year. Denver is going to be good again. The Lakers will probably be better as well. Like the West, this was a weird year for the West. Next year, it's going to be different, way different. And I just don't see what Portland's doing. I really think it would have been a better idea because they're going nowhere. I don't see why you would keep Damian Lillard, who's frankly aging a little bit. On the team. I would just trade him to a contender and start rebuilding around Scoot Henderson, because that's your future. Scoot Henderson is the future with them. It's not Lillard, and I don't think Simons is the future either. But yeah, I just don't see how this can possibly work. All right, let's go back to the CP3 to the Warriors. Here's the thing. Like I said before, honestly, what I would do if I were the Warriors, I would trade Clay, because they did just draft Brandon Podziemski, who's a guard very similar to Clay. So I think if you trade Clay, first of all, they get younger because they can move Podziemski to the starting lineup, the starting 5, and they would get good value back for Klay Thompson. Even though Klay Thompson's been declining a bit, he still is valuable to other teams. I don't think the Warriors necessarily need him right now. They need like a Karl Anthony Towns or someone like that. They need a big man that can contribute. They don't need a crazy good big man. They don't really need Karl Anthony Towns, but they do need someone that can contribute. They can't just run, like half their roster is guards right now. Like I don't see how that's going to work out for them. And like I said, Denver has size, Boston has size, Suns have size. All the best teams, the Bucks have size. All the top teams in the league have size. I feel like they should be able to see the trend here, because the Warriors, their organization has been pretty smart. They've been pretty good at keeping a championship level team. But I don't know. We'll see how the season goes for them. I wouldn't get my hopes up. Alright. So the Hornets drafted Brandon Miller. Now, this was probably the best fit. It's like I said. I thought Brandon Miller was the better fit for either Portland or the Hornets, while Scoot Henderson was the better player. I mean, the right move will be known in the next few years for the Hornets, because we really don't know for sure what the right move would have been, because you're not sure if they should have like maybe in the next 3 years, we'll be thinking they should have gotten Scoot Henderson to complement LaMelo Ball, even though it's not the best fit. They may have been able to make it work. Or maybe we'll look at the right move, and they pick the right guy to... Picking the best fit was the right move. I don't know. We'll see. I think in the next 3 years, we'll see which move would have been right. But there's a lot of variables here. I mean, Scoot Henderson might have a better career in the next 3 years. Like, he might be better in the next 3 years, but that doesn't mean he was the right pick for Charlotte. But we'll see how Brandon Miller fits there. I think he was the right pick for Charlotte. Honestly, Scoot Henderson isn't a stupid pick for the Blazers. I would just trade Damian Lillard. You trade Damian Lillard, you're fine. You can rebuild around Scoot Henderson. But I don't see the point in keeping him. And keeping Damian Lillard. But alright, so we actually have one more topic to cover, even though it's only been like 10 minutes. But like I said, it's going to be a shorter podcast today. And next week I'll be away, so can't get any podcasts in next week, but I will get back on track until I have to go away again. But hopefully next summer I'll be more available than I have in the past few summers, because I feel like I miss a lot of time. And I think the summer is honestly the best time to get podcasts in, since I'm still in the school, and it's really hard to get podcasts in during the school year. So mid-June to end of August is the best time for me, and I kind of miss some valuable time with the vacations. Not that the vacations aren't fun, but there's time. There's still time to go on vacation for me. It's just, I don't think next summer I'll probably only have 1 or 2 weeks where I'm off, whereas this summer and summers past I've had 3. So, alright. So, Victor Wembanyama was obviously the biggest story of Thursday's draft. He was the biggest story leading up to it as well. He's the most anticipated prospect since LeBron. Really. And I do think he deserves that hype. Because he seems more NBA ready than, say, Zion was. The only concern I have for him is that I feel like if he doesn't bulk up a bit in the NBA, he'll have injury problems. Embiid had those injury problems. Anthony Davis still has it, and he was then coming into the league. KD has had problems throughout his career. Giannis hasn't, but that's because he bulked up in 2 years. So I feel like he has to really kind of hit the ground running and bulk up quickly in order to avoid injury problems in the NBA, because Anthony Davis he's not really thin anymore. He's filled out a lot, but he still has injury problems. So, alright. Good stuff today. Shorter podcast, but I'm glad I got one in before I go away this week. So, alright. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Have a good one. I will see you in a week.